Everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is going to be our November kit release video for the new folks here, and there are quite a bunch of you. I'd like to thank everybody who's joined the channel since we dropped that video on the future of the hobby, as it were, for the 2024 kit information. We've had about 185 plus new subscribers since last month, so hopefully you guys will stick around and enjoy the content. We do this every month here. It is a review of the expected kit releases for a given month. Again, this is November of 2023 if you're watching this back, sometime in the future and didn't pay attention to the thumbnails and the titles. This video is a little late. We try to put them out towards the beginning of the month so that you know what you're spending your money on. At this point, all but about 2 or 3 of these kits have been released, so this is the things you've spent your money on already. Or if you're not in the sort of 1% of the 1% who pays attention to every single thing that comes out every single day, then this may still be a view of things that you will be buying in the future as you go into the month of November. For new subscribers who are, again, just joining us, I work in shipping and logistics for one of the big acronym trucking companies that deliver to your door your e-commerce orders. I drive the great big trucks, the little trucks to come to your house, and so it is exceptionally busy for me in November and December. And with the holidays and everything like that, we just didn't get this, up and done. It's like as early as I would like to have. So it's not an every day that this comes out at the very end of the month like this. Usually it's somewhere in the middle. But being that, as I said, let's go ahead and hop into it here as we start out in the domestic side of things, as we always like to do. We talk about the kits that are being released from companies based in or, usual, if you will, to the United States. And so round 2 only has one kit for the month of November, and that was a reissue of the 1970 Dodge Challenger in a Postal Service collector's tin. Yeah, this is a pretty mediocre kit if you know anything about it. This is the factory stock version of a kit that was also issued as the Yankee Doodle Challenger that was a sort of a cross between like a Pro Street and a wannabe custom drag car. None of those parts, well, there may be a few of those parts that carry over on parts runners, but none of those custom drag parts are in this. It's factory stock only. You probably, unless you're like super new to the hobby or super new to car building, you've seen one of these before because it's been around since 1970. It's a convertible that you then have to graft the roof back onto in order to make a hardtop out of it. This thing needs to be put out to pasture in the worst way possible. But again, a postal tin, not really what most of you are out there trying to buy in the first place. This will end up being sold mostly to people who collect things to do with stamps, and it will never leave this packaging that it comes in. This is the 3rd or 4th one of these postal collector tins, which is servicing a very niche market. I don't personally recommend the contents of any of these postal tins, as they tend to be really bad model kits that are being sold, again, strictly to stamp collectors. Buyer beware on buying one of these, and if you really want one of these, go find one of the old ones that's laying around on eBay somewhere. It'll cost less than this collector's tin, because this collector's tin is pushing another $8-10 above a normal kit price, and round 2's kit prices are usually in the mid-30s as it is. So unless you want to pay $40 for a $1.69 model kit, right? Then skip this one. Over at Revell, and this is a kit that a lot of you have probably seen here on YouTube as your favorite content creators are doing their stash updates for the month of November, and that is the release or reissue of the Lincoln Mark 7 LSC Pro Street. This kit originally tooled up back in 1990 and sharing a lot of the drivetrain and chassis components with the Debbie Hayes Thunderbird. Very cool to have this one back. I mentioned on Matt Model Cars videos when he showed his that he asked if anybody had built one of these before. I have actually built the original one of these back in 1990. I was somewhere between 12 and 13 years old. I have a summer birthday, so depending on when this kit was released in real time, I was either 12 or 13. I don't really remember. It's 30 plus years ago now since that time occurred, so I don't remember if I was 12 or 13, but I do remember that I didn't paint it, because if you remember, the original one of these was molded in like a dark charcoal gray metallic color, sort of a dark gunmetal. So why paint it? It's already molded in color. And then I used about a tube of Chester's tube glue, trying to glue all the chrome engine parts together, because 12-year-old. And I like to think that when I do go round one of these up, when I make the next trip to the local hobby shop after a few of those new round 2 kits come in that we're all looking forward to, like the 60 and 63 Fords and the 71 Demons, I'll pick one of these up then, that my adult skills, if you will allow me to build this in something generally better than the 12-year-old me's glue bomb of this kit originally was, because it's just a neat subject matter, being, a Lincoln Mark 7. And I will echo everyone else who's mentioned this. I really wish they had done a factory stock version of this car, because it would have been cool, but I understand why obviously they didn't. They wouldn't have sold 2 of them, but or they sold 2, one to the one Lincoln guy and one to me, but be that as it may. Moving on to Salvino's JR, there are 3 releases for the month of November. First up, new kit, if you will, of the month. This is the one that all the club members will get pushed out to them, and is in a 1985 edition of their Pontiac Grand Prix. This is the old Monogram 124 scale kit, and it is a Richard Petty kit because, of course, Richard Petty, all the things at Salvino's JR. Actually, it's a contractual obligation. Like, seriously, it's a contractual obligation. They have to make 4 kits a year, 1 a quarter, to keep their Richard Petty license. So that's why there are so many Petty things. Of course, Salvino's are tied into the Salvino, being Rick and his dad are tied into Richard Petty specifically because of Rick's dad and the FCP connection. This particular livery has never been done in a 124 scale kit before. It was done once as a 116 scale kit when AMT did it, but the 85 livery, which has a blue surround going around the vermilion decals, has never been kitted in normal, if you will, car scale before. So that's sort of an interesting thing. I didn't actually win any races in 1985, and so it's sort of a car that ran, if you will, but for a Richard Petty collector, this is something that has sort of been unobtainium. There have never actually even been any aftermarket decals done for this paint scheme in particular, so it's kind of neat in that sense. Otherwise, you kind of know what you're getting there with the 124 scale monogram kit. A couple of next-gen cars are also coming out this month, and they are the 2023 Ford Mustang from Brad Keselowski, doing the Castrol throwback livery from Darlington. Of interest here, the number 6s on the real car were chrome red, and they are chrome red on this decal sheet. That cost a pretty penny to get done. Those chrome decals, especially colored chrome decals, are very expensive to get done and have them come out correctly. You get a lot of waste with chrome decals because of how hard it is to print, even technically still, and then the to get them to come out and be usable, right? Chrome decals have a lot of these in GT3s, which I built a lot of, that, they're not very flexible. They tend to crack, and if you crack something that's chrome, there's not really an easy way to patch that back together again. So getting a flexible, good, and especially colored chrome decal is a little bit of a pain in the butt. And then the other one is the 2023 Toyota Camry for Denny Hamlin and the Mavis Tire and Brakes livery. This is the Pocono winner. I can't remember if this was the first Pocono, the second Pocono race of the year that this livery ran in, but it is a winning scheme, and so they did one more Camry for 2023. Going into 2024, the Camry gets a new body, and the Mustang gets a new body. So these, of course, the 2023 Mustangs and Camrys, these will be some of the last of them. There should be a couple more Mustangs in December. They're going to do the Blaney Championship car, and there should be another Mustang in December as well, along with the December Kit of the Month, which is actually also a Ford product. But this will sort of be the end of these cars. They're going to be changing up the body molds for the 2024 car, so this will be less of the 2023s. And then Salvino's JR adjacent over at Wes's Model Car Corner, you got a couple more releases of these Asphalt Modifieds that he has been doing. And I don't know the first thing about these race cars or their drivers, so I can't tell you what any of these are, other than, hey, look, model kits. I see you have a Matt Hirschman version of this kit coming. Oh, actually, these are actually released already. And there's also a Woody Pitcat version of this kit being released as well. Looks like the Woody Pitcat one would come with all the chrome tubing, which was sort of an aftermarket piece that they sold separately for a while, but has come in a couple of the kits that require the chrome roll caging. And if you're into the Asphalt Modifieds, there's 2 more of them. If you've missed any of them, you have an opportunity to grab a couple of more. And that'll take us overseas to Japan and other fine ports of call in Asia for the rest of this stuff, because we do have some new kits as well as a Meng kit this month as well. So lots of stuff from China and its adjacent principalities there. So starting in the folks I'm looking here, I got Aoshima, I got Fujimi, and I got some Hasagawa. So we'll start over at Aoshima. There are 3 releases this month of a pre-painted Lamborghini Hurricane. These will be, of course, like their other pre-painted kits, where the entire kit is pre-painted, from the body to the chassis to the window surrounds to everything. This is an add glue shake box type of model kit. Great slump buster on a weekend, presuming you don't mind the fact that, of course, mold lines and things like that will exist, and where you cut it off the parts tree will, of course, not be painted and things like that. These parts are not like de-treed and then painted and then just put into the box in Ziploc bags. These are still on the sprues, but they're going to be coming in the sort of lime green color the Hurricane comes in, as well as just white, and then as well as in red. So those 3 kits are identical, other than what color comes in the box. Also, over at Aoshima this month, a couple more of the old Hawk of Works kits that were done back in the 80s. These are being reissued again. If you've watched some of our previous monthly videos, you know that they've already done the first, I think it's the first 4 of these, right? Because not first 5 of these, because these are 6 and 7. So, kit number 6 in this series is the Nissan Gloria 330 Works. Kit from the 1980s. It is a motorized chassis type of thing. A bunch of over-fender parts and intercooler parts and things to add on to this kit to, make it look like this. Again, these are reissues of kits that have existed in the past, hence the sort of historical Aoshima logo compared to the current modern one. And, fresh set of decals, I guess. And that's pretty much all there is to write home about on these. And then you have the Ken and Mary, with the car, the Ken and Mary hardtop Works. This is a 1973 Skyline with, of course, again, big over fenders and the intercoolers and the big fat wheels and all those things that go along with it. So again, reissue of the kit from the 1980s. So if you're into the kits that look like this, these were very hard to find because this hadn't been reissued. Probably about 15 years was the last time these were run, in the mid-2000s. So, again, if you're looking for these, fresh kits of these are now out there. And I think that's really all of, that is all of Aoshima for the month of November. So just a few odds and ends there. Over at Fujimi, we're getting a couple of reissues of some old kits. A couple of these things are going to be Boxart sort of, actually really line drawing things because they don't exist as box art yet. Box art kits, the things that have come out that actually have box art so far, are reissue of the Mazda Savannah GT Type Late, and they're calling it the Racing Type. All those Savannah GTs are like this. The over fenders and the front lift spoiler are mercifully separate, so you can build a reasonably close to factory stock Savannah GT out of these, or an RX-3 as we got them here in the United States. The only sort of downside to this kit is it does have these big and little Watanabes, this big fat rear tires and things like that. This does not have like a set of 4 standard Watanabes and two big ones for the back as an option. This only comes in that configuration. This box art makes this car look 10 times more hideous than the actual kit really is inside. It's one of those very few times that box art really doesn't sell a kit, in my opinion. It is what it is in that sense. You're going to have to, if you want to build this closer to a regular RX-3 or a regular Savannah GT, you're going to have to source in some wheels, which in the days of 3D printing really probably shouldn't be that terribly hard. Heck, there's probably somebody out there that makes 3D printed factory stock Savannah GT wheels at this point. But just know that, again, it looks like something on the box, but all of the racing parts, so to speak, are separate, so don't be too concerned there. Another reissue is another FJ Cruiser. And this follows along with all of the rest of the easy kits that Fujimi has done, where they are snap-tight kits that are molded in multiple colors. The idea being here that you don't have to paint them or glue them. Obviously, snap-tight kit, don't have to glue that, but you don't have to paint them either. This kit does not come with any water slide decals. It does come with special stickers for the seat inserts, because apparently the red trim has a very specific red plaid pattern to the seats, which is kind of neat that they did that, but again, it is a Mylar sticker type thing. If you want to buy an FJ Cruiser, know that this is a JDM FJ only. I know we got them here in the United States, but this does not have any kind of left-hand drive conversion parts included in it. The only one that doesn't have, or I should say has water slides in addition to the Mylar, is the one that's molded in white. or they call it white pearl, but there's not actually pearl, but plastic that I can see anyway. But anyway, the white one has a very small sheet of water slides so that you can get like the gauge cluster and some of the Toyota logos and things like that, which is a nice option if you don't want to use all of the Mylar stickers that come in. I understand the point of these and the market that they're going for with these, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to have the option to build one, you know, kind of as a real model, so to speak, quote unquote. Hey, whoa, bad, quick edit here. Greetings from the editing suite. The two kits that I was about to talk about in the video that you've been watching were kits that Fujimi had yet to release box art from, and I was just going to put line art up on the screen and talk about it. But between recording that video and editing it today, those box arts have been released. So we're going to talk about those kits sort of as they really exist in real life, rather than just being some really bad black and white line art. So first up is the Toyota Land Cruiser 80. This kit has the new easy alignment system put into it. So this actually, the kit itself is from the 1980s. It was a formerly motorized kit. It had a very, very basic, bland, awful, really, because it wasn't even really a full chassis. It was really a chassis plate. This was a kit that had like the steering where when it backs up, it turns to the right or the left, depending, and then steers straight when it goes forwards. So the chassis had big cutouts for the wheels that are, you know, totally unrealistic in real life. It still has the interior from that motorized chassis where the seats are molded into the floor, and they're about, I don't know, a foot tall in scale, which makes these some of the shortest people who will ever drive a Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, that EAS system is a brand new chassis and brand new suspension components, which will allow this chassis to, instead of being cambered like some of the cars are, allows individual articulation of the suspension corners so that you could pose this thing like on a rock in having one of the wheels like up and compressed into the wheel well while the other three are not. It allows the wheels to be turnable, and it does allow you to sort of stance it, if you will, very, you know, vague air quotes there, where you can sort of raise and lower the level of the suspension. It's not going to drop the kit onto the ground like it would with a like airbag lowered suspension by any stretch of the imagination, but you can adjust the height of it a wee little bit. So some improvements to a 40-year-old kit, but still probably, if you want to build one of these style Land Cruisers, the Tamiya kit is probably still your best bet. I haven't priced one of those in a while. I believe they've gone back out of production at this point, with the Land Cruiser and the Land Cruiser Sport kits being sort of limited runs from probably 4 or 5 years ago now. But I wouldn't think they would be that expensive in comparison, but they may be. Again, I haven't priced one for a while. The other kit is this. It is the 1992 version of the Hasagawa Motorsports Nissan GTR Group A car. This is, of course, a JTTC car, 1992 championship winner, actually, with the Jex Unicia livery. The decals in this kit do have all of the orange areas except for the grill bars. And other than the fact that the number 1 number placard is integrated into the orange on the roof, I think it might almost be easier to paint the orange onto this kit rather than using the kit decals. Fujimi's decals in the past, I haven't built a Fujimi kit like lately in the terms of a new release kit. I have one on order for a January or February release. Fujimi's a couple months out ahead of us now with their announcements. Where I guess I'll see what their decals are, but their decals in the past for race cars have not been the best. They've been rather not flexible, kind of hard to work with. There were something that if you got out enough decal solvent and beat the living tar out of them, you could get them to conform to the kit. But the way these decals are designed, the part on the front bumper there is one piece going around. The part of the back bumper is one piece going around. Those two in particular, I think, would be particularly problematic. If their decals are of the same quality they used to be, they may be fine. They may be good quality decals at this point, but I just necessarily wouldn't hold my breath with that, just because the price point of these Fujimi kits are not necessarily reflecting a large increase that would indicate a high quality decal. There's been a lot of price increases in the decal companies that produce, Cartograph and Zanchetti and the other Asian-based, Hong Kong, China-based decal manufacturers have increased their prices. Why decal sheets themselves have gone up. It's why the cost of Salvino's JR kits have accelerated in the recent 18 months. A lot of that is tied into the cost of Cartograph decals. These Fujimi kits getting reissued are still about what they cost the last time they were around, and that doesn't indicate to me, high quality decals. Your mileage may vary. They may be great decals, but until otherwise proven, I would consider not, painting that orange. That's, again, my view on that. Anyway, back to that video you were watching me with that I filmed the other night in a completely different outfit. So, just wanted to sort of fill that little bit of void there with the actual box art. Over to Hasagawa next, where we have a few releases, including a brand new tool. So let's go with the sort of the reissues, if you will. So first up, a just standard reissue. This has been in the catalog for a very long time, but it's been out of the actual active catalog for a little while. And that is a street version of their AE101 Toyota Corolla 11 GT Apex with the Super Strut suspension. So this is the factory stock street version of the 92-93 Japanese sports car. I keep saying Japanese sports car prototype series because I have that on my mind because I've been talking with a couple of friends about doing some Group C builds in 2024, and a lot of that is JSPC cars. But anyway, JTCC, the touring version of that series. This is the street car version of that. So it's been 5-6 years since this was released last. So it's getting added back to the catalog. And then a straight reissue, just in a different color. So this is the Isuzu Gemini JT150 Irmschicht Turbo in the red color. So this kit has nothing new added to it. It's just the body components are molded in red. So if you happen to really, really want a red one, you now have that option. I say that in the sense that, how hard it can be to paint light colors over red plastic. Yeah, if you want a red one, you got a red one. Remember the Starlet got issued as a red one not too terribly long ago as well. And then also another just sort of straight reissue is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6 in its 99 Monte Carlo Rally winner livery. Now, I will say that this car is 97% correct. And when I say that is, obviously this car was a Marlboro-sponsored car, but in 1999, the Monte Carlo Rally had banned tobacco liveries. So this technically didn't have the Marlboro livery attached to it. However, but, if you look really, really closely at that box art, you can notice that on the back door, that placard had like a faded area in sort of a pyramid shape where they photoshopped out the actual Marlboro peak that is on this car. While it didn't run the Marlboro words, it did run the Marlboro peaks, as evidenced by the actual here's the real car of the real, that actually ran the 1999 Monte Carlo Rally. As you notice, the hood has the peak, the doors have the peak, the roof, the vent thing on the roof there, it has the peak, the rear deck Marlboro livery had the peak as well. So while this didn't have the full Marlboro wording, it did have the Marlboro logo sort of thing, and that is not included in the actual kit itself. It just has big rectangles there instead of having the peaks. So you're going to have to do a little bit of creative cutting and painting in order to get that to look right, or you can, of course, try to go and find some aftermarket decals that have the peaks as part of the decal sheet. You'd probably be better off painting the hood and the trunk and maybe find the aftermarket peaks for the doors, but know going in that while that technically, yes, doesn't have a tobacco livery, it also technically is not correct. Mileage may vary. Over in Japanese sports car prototype series, thank God, because I keep saying it, so let's talk about a kit from it, is the Denso Toyota 91CV from the 1991 version of that championship series. This car did win a race. I believe it was the 4th race of the season. And much like the earlier Minolta version of this car, this decal sheet does not have a stitch of red on it, which means you have to paint the entire red and white two-tone, all of it, including the weird peaks that are on the doors and the unique little U shape to the front underneath the driver's windshield there. Or, well, it'll be everybody's windshield, not just the driver's, but there's only one seat in that car, so it's the driver's windshield. All of that two-toning you have to do yourself. There's not a stitch of red, not even like a little guideline between to help you sort of figure out where the masking line should be. It's a fairly comprehensive masking guide in the instruction manual, but even then, looking at a piece of paper and comparing it to the actual three-dimensional object, it's going to take a little bit of, work to make sure that this is a symmetrical two-tone, that your sides, where the Denso Toyota goes up the sides, are actually even on both sides of the car, and things of that nature. I would have liked to have had maybe the bottom, down by the exhaust pipes, maybe that bottom be red. And I know that, and then you're talking about matching reds and things like that. I get all of those difficulties, but I'm not a huge fan of Hasagawa's complete and total noping out of some of the two-tones that they've done on some of these cars recently. This kit does have two new parts. The side windows are new, and then it has a new sort of lower side piece for the driver's side, which will, of course, be the left side of the car, or the right-hand side of the car in this case, has a new side with a new exhaust ports because it ran a certain specification that was slightly different than the other 91 CV that Toyota Team Toms ran, the Minolta car that we talked about. So, it's a 188-piece Group C kit that has no engine. So lots and lots and lots and lots of parts here, and some of them are duplicates, like there's two sets of mirrors and things like that. But this particular one, these 91 CVs, 92 CVs, are very, very robust kits that Hasagawa has put out in the last about year, maybe a year and a half, because the original 91 CV came out around this time last year. There's been a 92 CV released in the spring, and then this one is being released now. So, that is that. And lastly, the new toolkit for the fall, and that is the 1989 Nissan Fairlady Z, the 300ZX Twin Turbo. Again, JDM only, as most Hasagawa kits tend to be these days. So know that going in, no matter how much you may want to build this as an American version, you can't. Not yet, anyway. It's a 2+2, or a 2x2, as they're calling it in the instruction sheet. So this is the one that has the back seat. Interestingly enough, there has never been a 1/24 scale 2+2. There are several versions by Fujimi and the folks over at Tamiya, losing my track of my thoughts there, that did what they call a 2+0 colloquially, where it has no back seat. This is the first one with a 2+2. Big difference here is the overall length of the car is about 2 inches longer. Works out to be, a millimeter and a half in scale. And then the filler door is behind the rear wheel, whereas on the 2+0, the filler door is actually in front of the rear wheel underneath the opera window. So a little bit differences in the parts there. This is looks to be a really robust kit, as most Hasagawa new tool kits have been recently. There are window masks for all of the windows, including gasket seals on the headlights and the turn signals and stuff like that. So super duper cool masking, in the sense that you don't have to do you don't have to freehand anything yourself, which is really, really handy. There are a couple of steering wheels in this, so there will be later versions of this, which is something else that doesn't exist in scales as a late version of a Z32 Fairlady. And there are also the options to do an automatic or a manual transmission. So whole transmission itself, and then the pedal setups and the center console setups for either automatic or manual. So that's very cool as well. Go back and watch our All Japan Hobby and Model Show if you want to see the parts and the pieces and more details about that. And then that takes us over to Nunu. And I know what you're saying. You're like, Nunu doesn't release kits. They just tell you the kits are coming, and they never actually do anything about it. Well, you're partially correct. That has been part of the problem for a little bit of time now. Excuse me. But they actually have released a few things. So first up, on the 1/24 scale side of things, they have released the 2008 BMW 320 SI E90 in the World Touring Car Championship Brands Hatch winner of Jörg Mueller. If you watched our little Stash Ads video, you saw the actual kit, mostly in focus, as we talked about it. So this kit is out. It'll probably be released in Japan and worldwide probably late December, but it is available at Hobby Easy and other Asia, Hong Kong, China-based retailers already. So if you want to order one or you want to have one, you can go get one. There is, of course, a PE set, which we also featured in that last video for this car, so that is an option. This car only builds to this one race as far as the decal set goes, so know that going in. And also know that eventually, at some point in the future, there will be aftermarket decals done for this car, as this, in 2008, it also won Macau, so you know those decals will be coming probably out of SK Decals. This car ran with like a British flag on top with, I'm trying to think of who the driver is. I have one of their kits real close by, but I don't see it right now. Andy Prelow. Andy Prelow ran the car in a British livery with Crown Hotels on the side of it. There were ultimately somewhere around 80 of these chassis built between 2006 and 2012, so there's a lot of options to choose from. As Nunu releases this kit again with different front ends on it. The kit is tooled up, if you didn't watch that video, with a separate hood and a completely separate front and rear fascia parts so that it can be slid around within the years, because different years had different bumpers and different grills and different headlight setups, which affect the way that the front edge of the hood is shaped. So that's pretty cool that they went ahead and did that, because of course now you know that obviously this kit will be released again in the future as different years. And that's pretty much to be expected, because again, if you didn't watch that last video, this kit is like 98% new. It shares the chassis pan itself and the interior floor, literally just the floor piece that the interior builds up off of, is a platform style interior, as modern kits tend to be. Those two pieces, along with the tires, are the only thing it shares with the 2001 and 2004 320s. The entire rest of the kit is brand new tooling, which is something I didn't expect. I thought it would share a lot more interior pieces, like the roll caging and stuff like that, because dimensionally the car on the inside is pretty much the same. You saw between the 2001 and the 2004 like a part runner of different pieces of like dashboard mods and things like that, but this is seriously completely new tooling, so that's really cool that they went the whole 9 yards, if you will, on something that they probably could have shortcutted if they wanted to, and a lot of people wouldn't have even probably realized it was wrong. I'm not sure how necessarily popular that era of touring car racing is, that a lot of people have been like, holy crap, how could you do that? But, you know, again, I appreciate waiting on something that's done correctly, or more correctly than it could have been done if you would have rushed it out. So that being said, the other big release out of the Bima Nunu folks, and this is going to be a B-Max label on it, is the big 1/12 scale Lotus 99T, the 87 Monaco Grand Prix winner. So this obviously is brand new tooling, as previous to this there has not been a 1/12 scale F1 car done by B-Max Nunu. So yeah, if you're into this, and I can't comment to its accuracy or things like that, as I'm not a huge F1 fan or F1 or knowledgeable in F1. I've seen nothing bad about it yet, so that leads me to believe that there's nothing terribly wrong with it straight out of the box. There obviously are a lot of parts in a 1/12 scale kit. This does come with like rubber tubing and some of those things to sort of help detail up the kit, sort of like a 1/12 scale Tamiya kit did back in the day. There's also a very, very expanded and, dare I say, expensive detail upset for this kit done as well, where Top Studio is involved in making some of the turned aluminum parts here, as if we have a dance party upstairs again. So here's a look at the inside of the detail upset, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sheets of carbon fiber, 3 sheets of PE. The decals over there to the right of the PE are all of the Camel logos that don't come in the kit. Keep that in mind. Remember, there are no tobacco liveries in models. If you have to buy the detail upset, or someone I'm sure eventually will do actual like separate Camel livery for it. And then you have all these turned metal parts down there on the bottom, all the valves and all the things of that nature. And then last thing we're going to talk about here is the Audi R8 LMS GT3 2019 kit. So this is a brand new tool kit from the folks over at Meng. Now, why we chose the 2019 kit, I'm not sure. the 2019 kit already exists. Nunu did it a year and a half ago. They could have done a 2021 kit, which would have been the Audi R8 that has the ducktail or gooseneck spoiler flipped around in reverse so that the spoiler hangers are behind the spoiler and it hangs forwards over top of the rear deck. I don't know why we did it in 2019. I'm assuming we did 2019 because the data points exist to make this kit. For people who aren't really familiar with how model kits are made, 3D CAD files tend to get shopped around in Asia, where it's like, hey, we did this 3D scan of a Tiger 2 or Tiger 1, Tiger 5, a King Tiger, whatever, from this museum, and it gets shopped around to all of the military companies, right? That's why if you pay any attention to that sort of thing, all of a sudden there will be 135th, 170, 148, 172nd scale explosion of more or less the same thing, right? Some of them will have different turrets, some of them will have interiors to them and things like that. There'll be different production marks and things like that for different, this one has different set of road wheels and blah, blah, blah. And those 3D files are like shopped around to all these different companies within China, and they decide like, oh, we're going to make this, they're going to make that, and that's how they do their R&D, right? People from Ryfield models aren't flying to Germany for the most part to do these sort of things. They're just getting the data shopped to them, and they choose to make a model from it. So I'm assuming that the 3D files from this floated around based on the ones that were done by Nunu. This kit, what's different about it is the fact that the doors are posable. They open and close. They can be all the way open, all the way closed, and there's sort of like a detent in between where it's kind of sort of open. I don't understand the point of that. It seems to be that there are 3 set positions. I mean, they function. They'll open and close once you build it, but it seems to be they're designed to be set at closed, kind of open, or all the way open. The rear hatch is a separate piece, and there is a complete engine almost in this. Now there's no bottom to the engine because obviously look, any GT3 chassis in modern days there's just a flat floor to this, and you don't get to an oil pan in this, but it's a complete engine otherwise, right? Nunu's only giving you the very, very top of the engine, just what you see through the window glass. They're giving you the whole thing, which seems like a waste of money, really, because when this is all said and done with and built, you don't see any more of it than you do in the Nunu kit. Is the rear deck separate? Yes. Is the rear deck hinged? No. There's no way to open it, because, well, technically it doesn't open in real life. It's a piece that comes off. So, I mean, that's realistic in the sense that it's a piece that comes off, but it's not really something you could take off and display the engine, because you're going to take off the entire back deck. The whole thing, from the roof line to the spoiler, the whole thing comes off. It's not just part of it. So that's kind of interesting. They didn't license any tire manufacturer here, which may not be the worst thing in the world, because I don't believe the debut car had tire manufacturer. It just had these dotted lines that you see on the Boxart there. Having this kit and comparing it to the Nunu kit, they appear to be dimensionally more or less the same. The only major difference you can see just eyeballing it without like measuring it and really sitting down and getting on calipers and stuff like that is the intake on the hood is larger on the Meng kit than it is on the Nunu kit. Visibly larger. It's deeper, if you will, from the windshield to the actual to the end of the opening, where the little ridge is on the front on the hood. That is, of course, the intake for the cooling fans. And is it more right or more wrong? I'm not sure. The only thing I could see that really affecting is there are, of course, a plethora of 2019 to 2021 decals existing for this kit. From LB Productions, from Racing Decals 43, from SK Decals, if not other sources as well. Some of the slot car guys have done some of these for this car as well. And those decals may not fit this if they were designed to fit the Nunu kit because of that dimensional difference with the hood. If you have something that's a complete wrap of a car, it may not fit this necessarily exactly right because it's sized off of the Nunu kit. It'll be very interesting to see if anyone actually bothers to do decals specific to that kit. It's kind of an oddball thing. They're going to do another release in December of a car that comes with a livery, you may want to wait on that. But that kit, again, globally distributed, probably beginning of next year, end of December. Again, if you want one now, you can order it through Hobby Easy and get it ahead of everyone else. And then you can compare it to your own new kit and see if you think it's any better and whether or not it's worth $13 more than the new kit cost when it was new. So that, guys, wraps this one up, and we'll see you guys on the other side.